July 1940. A nervous RAF pilot stands by waiting for orders. By now, Nazi Germany had defeated all of continental Europe, including Britain's strongest ally, France. In its darkest hours, Britain's hope will help it fight, alone, in this decisive battle. The sirens have sounded and German twin-engine bombers have been spotted. The Battle of Britain was about to begin. By May 1940, most of Europe had fallen to the might of Nazi Germany. First Poland, then the Low Countries, and now the once undefeatable French army. After a large battle, the British and French were encircled, and the former made a desperate escape by sea. Seemingly overnight, everything was lost. However, Britain still believed in hope, which helped to win their upcoming battle against the Third Reich. Winston Churchill announced in one of his most famous speeches, "What General Weygand called the Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin." The Germans now turned their attention to Britain. Now alone, Britain was now the fight that would decide Europe's fate. The Battle of Britain decided the fate of continental Europe. With the fall of its ally France, Britain alone faced the might of Nazi Germany, the Luftwaffe, in a battle that would decide the fate of Europe. The Royal Air Force would fight a heroic battle that would decide its own and the entirety of Europe's fate. The Battle of Britain must not be lost. June 1940. In his home in the mountains of Bavaria, Hitler was thinking that Britain would surrender. Suffering defeat, it only seemed logical. Days later, he gave a warning to the British. However, the British bravely refused. It seemed Germany would attack. In a meeting, Hitler and his high command agreed that before anything happened, they would have to destroy the RAF. The Battle of Britain had begun. Now, at this point, both sides had a lot of preparation, such as advanced aircraft, systems of control, and organization. This included the British dowding system, a way of managing aircraft formations and attacks on enemy aircraft. Being organized forces, both sides had high command and sub-squadrons, which allowed the easy organization of aircraft tactics and missions. At the time, both sides had advanced aircraft. The RAF had the Supermarine Spitfire and the Hawker Hurricane. Modern and advanced, they were the backbone of the RAF. The Germans had their Messerschmitt Bf-109 and Bf-110, renowned fighters. The Luftwaffe hit targets with the Heinkel 111, the Junkers Ju-88, and the Dornier Do-17, which carried heavy loads. The Ju-87 dive bomber also delivered bombs accurately. On the 4th of July, 1940, ships in the Channel were attacked. These attacks intensified in the next few days, straining the RAF. All of this was part of the Luftwaffe's plan to test the defenses of the RAF before the main assault began. That day, the August of 13, Lookout spotted aircraft across the Channel. It was Alder Attack, Eagle Day. The Alder Attack opened up with attacks against airfields, radar, and other military installations. The following week, attacks shifted into the land, which were met with resistance from fighter command. These attacks reached mixed results, though one of the largest attacks with bombers from Denmark and Norway was a failure, suffering high losses. The 18th of August was the hardest day, where the heaviest losses were suffered on both sides. It was part of the Alder Attack, with assaults on RAF facilities, expecting a defeated RAF. 3 waves of attacks were sent during the daytime, and radar detected the first Luftwaffe attack, which met resistance at RAF Kenley. However, the attack was disorganized. The second attack was at RAF Biggin Hill and West Malling, but it suffered heavier resistance and was attacked equally disorganized. Next, aircraft attacked near the Isle of Wight. The RAF was unprepared and Ju-87s attacked virtually unopposed. However, they failed to destroy all the targets, and the damaged radar was quickly replaced. Adolf Hitler told his commanders not to attack London unless he ordered it. However, Göring attacked the outskirts of London, of which a few bombs were accidentally dropped onto London. In response, the RAF attacked Berlin from the 25th onwards. September 7th, 1940. In response, the Luftwaffe attacked with more than 1,000 fighters and bombers. Organized attacks of German bombers were sent, along with fighter bombers. London residents were used to the unmistakable sound of air raid sirens wailing throughout the night, and would either go to private or public bomb shelters. These would result in many losses of life and also lessen the citizens' morale. Weather delayed further action, but on the 15th of September, the Luftwaffe launched a massive attack. Battle of Britain Day had begun. The 15th of September, 1940, Battle of Britain Day. The Luftwaffe attacked 3 times, noon, mid-afternoon, and night, but Britain successfully defended its territory, and German bombers were dispersed during the day and did no damage among the many clouds. During the night, however, the German forces missed most of their target, only damaging gas and water lines under towns. Overall, the Germans were surprised at how quickly the RAF could scramble fighters to their location and didn't have enough speed to escape or fight. The successful defense of Britain on that day led Adolf Hitler to postpone his invasion of Britain, called Operation Sea Lion. Now, every September 15th, residents of Great Britain would celebrate the Battle of Britain Day, when they had successfully defended their nation from the Luftwaffe. After many losses of German aircraft during the battle and not enough air superiority achieved, Hitler temporarily withdrew from the struggle and never struck again. Britain knew it had won and was a force to be reckoned with and not easily defeated. This marked the end of the Battle of Britain, and Germany was slowly pushed back to the defensive. The Germans started night bombing the cities of Britain, and Britain did the same for them. Both sides later developed radar and flares, which would help find their location, and flares would mark the bomb drop or light up the sky. Searchlights were also used on the ground to blind planes and find targets for the anti-aircraft gunners. British planes also started deploying chaff, which were strips of foil to mimic the radar returning of planes, which made it hard for the Germans to tell where the planes were and where they were going to strike. Night tracers were also assisted in aiming. Tracers are bullets that leave a trail of light to tell pilots where they are aiming. During the night, however, the tracers were too bright and blinded pilots when they fired. Because of this, both sides developed night tracers, which would use less fluorescent material. The bombings continued until May 1941. During the winter, Hitler refocused his forces on the advancing Soviet Union in the north, and the Battle of Britain was won. Little did he know was that the outcome would be the same as the Battle of Britain, the Soviets successfully defending their territory and winning. There are many impacts, but just listing a few, Great Britain was saved from the Nazis at the moment, and Germany knew the power of Great Britain, and now knew that trying to conquer Great Britain would be much more challenging than they thought. Though London was getting bombed every night, there were also air raid cities on German cities like Berlin. Many parts of London were destroyed, and rebuilding took effort and money. People living in the cities getting bombed had to get into their bomb shelters if they had one. People would open their windows so glass wouldn't implode under the shockwave of the bombs and would gather in the safest part of the house, usually the basement or under a table. The Battle of Britain also impacted morale, and German citizens lost hope as their city was bombed again and again. The Battle of Britain was also the first major defeat of Germany and would build up until World War II had ended in the favor of the Allies. The Germans lost 1,977 aircraft, while the British lost 1,087. British High Command had agreed that Germany would have won if given more preparation, aircraft, and trained crews. But overall, after that battle was won, Germany's morale went down a notch, and they started in on the defensive. The Battle of Britain was an important battle that decided the fate of Britain during World War II. If the RAF had not fought as bravely as they did, Germany would have held a considerable advantage, and the rest of the world would have fallen apart, which could have turned the war in favor of the Axis power. Many lives were lost, and sacrifices were made, but it ultimately ensured that Great Britain would win this hard battle against one of the most powerful militaries at the time. As a result, Europe was temporarily saved from the reign of Nazi Germany. Britain's strategy and command ultimately made it so Germany knew that Britain would put up a fight to protect itself and not stop until they had won. Thank you for listening.